And Mrs. Butler, just tell us what your address is.
233 Empson Drive,
Great,
Macomb, Mississippi.
And then,
Very good.
so this is just to make sure that, 100 years from now when we're all gone,
Someone
got
else
that
will
right
know
name,
it.
the right face, the right city, and the right focus. Okay. Oh wait, did we put the tape in? Yeah, we did.
That would probably help.
Howard's a professional. Great. So we're going to start with Sarah, nice and loud, with My Name Is.
My name is Sarah.
My name is Kiviata.
My name is Rebecca.
My name is Victoria.
My name is Ricky.
My name is Byron.
And my name is Felicia, and we are here to interview Miss Pasty, Ruth Butler on November 13, 2008 in Macomb, Mississippi.
Great, we're going to do it one more time, but I need to see Rebecca's face. Okay?
Patsy.
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 Patsy. Okay? One more time, anytime. Hang on, and I didn't even record that.
Glad to do it again.
Okay.
Okay.
Anytime.
I'm Sarah.
I'm Kiviata.
My name is Rebecca.
My name is Victoria.
My name is Ricky.
My name is Byron.
My name is Felicia, and we all are here to interview Miss Patsy Ruth Butler on November 13, 2008 in Macomb, Mississippi.
Great.
That was good.
Places, everyone.
Excellent. Very nice.
And Stephen Vowell. And I've lived a lot of places, mainly Mississippi, but I've lived in the north. I've lived overseas. And we moved back here about 2 years ago, and I love it here.
And now it's your turn. And you're talking to the kids.
My name is Patsy Ruth Houston. My mother, Mrs. Willie Mae Stone. My father, Mr. Fred Houston. I was born on Ellenwood Street, same street where West School is on, in the 500 block. In 12th month, 14th day in 1929. I was born on a Thursday. All through my earliest life, we attend church, Flower Mount Baptist Church. My mother, we had Easter programs and things of that nature, and my mother would sit at the back of the church, and we didn't have speakers. And whatever you learned, you had to make sure you said, and you said it loud enough so she could hear, sitting at the back of Flower Mount Church. I went to school at first it was the old school on Magnolia Street. I have a picture of that old school, the school that my mother went to. They built around 40, where Westbrook School is now. That wasn't, we had to go to school in the churches, different churches, and while they was getting where it's Westbrook School now. I came back to the school, we came back to the school. I was 4th grade. At that time, they would have vacation Bible school, even at the school as I got older. We had a group of white people that came to the school for 2 weeks when vacation Bible school. The group I was in was the junior group. We learned so much until the Presbyterian minister came up for the service that last night, and he invited the group I was in and Professor Higgins to bring us down to the Presbyterian church that Sunday morning to do service for what we learned. We learned during that time all the parts of all the books of the Bible, which I still remember, and so many things. We had, my mother always taught us that there was no difference in people. There are good people and there are evil people, bad people. And there are people who just don't know, and you just look over those people, but you do good. I had a real nice childhood. I've always been political minded, never sociable. I wasn't too much in sociable. But I would go to the church conference, that's the political part. We had a minister there, the Dr. A.L. Rice. He was really smart. because when he gave a teach at that church, and I had a church in Jackson, he became an instructor at Tougaloo College. With these people at the church, the principal, Professor Higgins, and we had so many enlightened people. Miss Georgia Westbrook School named after. And she was a Sunday school teacher, and Miss Alice, and that was inspiring. But the main thing they taught us is to love the Lord and to be nice and kind to everybody. So that was instilled in me. My grandmother, you see her pictures in there, she looked like a white lady. I'm not no reflection, but she did. And my daddy was from Liberty, and my mother's brown, and you see her picture in there, brown skin, but my grandmother was half white. And why she was half white? Because it was right after slavery, and my grandmother said they made those ladies have sex with the men. It was nothing they could do about it. So don't feel bad, but those things happen, and don't ask me anything if you don't want the truth. And they always told us the truth. And that's what I deal with, truth and reality. It went so after school and after marriage and after Emmett Till, you know of Emmett Till's story. That was about in 55. After he came to Mississippi and was killed, I think that really inspired a lot. But before then, when I was about 9 years old, there was a mob that came up on Elmer Street, right up on the street from us. There's a People Undertaker Company. There was a house next to there. They came looking for someone, and I was about 8 or 9 years old, but I remember so vividly because my mother and my grandmother, they was frightened. They didn't have any weapons, anything to work with. But I tell you what they did do. They had one of the greatest weapons it was, prayer. And they would fast and pray. And that's what they taught us, to fast. I don't do much fasting, but I do pray all the time. Not like at this, going to the church conference, my parents didn't go, but I would go with the lady, Mrs. Butler, on the next street, and I would go down before it got dark, and she would bring me to the corner. We lived next door to the corner, waiting until I got in the house. So you know I was always political minded, to knowing how things were structured that way. And through church conference, you know, when they're making motions and things of that nature. My children were inspired too, during the civil rights time, during the time when things were so bad. We lived close to two bombings, the Berglund supermarket, and down when they supposed to have been throwing the bomb to, we call him Uncle Doc Orange's house, because his brother, his wife was a secretary of the NAACP. And then they bombed the supermarket. My son was 9 years old. It got so they had so many bombings close around, Mr. Fred Bates and all like that. He was the youngest, and when we went to the meeting, we was inspired to meet. Mr. Bob Moses came to the church where I belonged, at Florimont at that time. And all they was trying to do, they say that things would be better if you voted. You could help put someone in office. That was the main thing the movement was about, is to make sure you vote and try to vote for the right person. He came to the church that Sunday, and it was an inspiration from New York. And he wanted to work, they was to work with the voters. The people here, of course, people rejects change. A lot of people rejects change. Some people in our neighborhood, my mother was a member. We joined after the children school walk out, because they wouldn't accept Brenda Travis back to school for the city, and she was my cousin on my daddy's side, and Travis was my cousin. He was one of the city, and then Mr. Bobby Tabor on my mother's side. So you can see we was closely related, entwined there.
Miss Butler, you're getting way ahead of us, and we need to go way back. So can we stop right here?
Yes, and
let
go
them-
back.
And let them
Okay.
lead you back.
Okay,
And
I
there's
tell you,
one
I
other
never
thing
stop
that we
talking.
One other thing we forgot to say is we have this sign that we've all agreed that looks like this. And what we're going to do is anytime that any of us kind of wander in a place where we want to try to draw us back, like if you get too far ahead of us, then somebody at the table may just do this, and that means finish where you're at, get to the end, and then we're going to bring you back to another place.
Okay.
Okay?
That's fine.
Okay. And then Victoria's going to lead.
And they're going to take you back to all these stories. And,
Yeah, we're gonna get 'em all.
And go into more depth.
Okay. Well, you all, I don't ever stop talking, so I'm serious.
Well, I know you have a lot of memories, but you know, what's the earliest that you can remember?
My mother reading to us about, I was about 2, 3 years old. She always read at night books to us.
What kind of books would she read to you?
Just like the Three Bears and Golden Lop, and you know what a child at age was interested in.
Right.
And we didn't miss Sunday school nor church.
No.
And she didn't either. Although my mother was sick after doing some years, really sick, and she taught us to do everything. I got the smoothing irons in there. I didn't realize they were so heavy. You all don't know about it, but I have something for you to see. And that I got a pot in there that we cooked in. And we made fires. We got in wood, and we didn't worry about what we was going to wear to school the next day, because you took off your school clothes. You wouldn't wear the same thing the next day. We wore the same thing the next day. They took them off, and we didn't get them dirty, and put on some old clothes and got in wood, made fires, got in water, and did everything.
You said that you never missed Sunday school. Can you
No.
tell us about the church you went to?
Yeah, it's right there on Summer Street now. It was built in 29, Flower Mound. I have a picture of it, a plate with the picture on it. And that was my mother belonged to. When my mother was 12 years old, she said she joined the church. Now, my grandmother in them church was Walker Chapel. That was Free Will, my mother a missionary. And she said she liked the service at Flower Mount. And it didn't matter my grandmother as long as she was in the church. So she joined under Reverend A.D. Parnell. And when she was 12, and my older sister Freddie and May and I, we joined the church, but my other sister joined the church at Walker Chapel where my grandmother was.
Can you tell us about the Sunday school? What was that like?
Well, Sunday school was like, everyone at that time was in the same class. This teacher, Miss Alice Ellis, would have a card, and she would read the card, and we would repeat. If you repeat something, you remember it. Little children. And my mother was in the adult class, but I can remember a lot of time I don't know why she wouldn't make me sit in the little class, and we was all in the same room. I was such a, I don't know, like I am now, unruly. I wasn't, I just had my own mind, and they respected that. I took up piano, a little of it. I don't play that. I didn't, just a little bit, because the teacher left and moved to Chicago, and that's why I stopped taking piano. But I started piano. I did everything in high school, singing the chorus, everything. Used to help. At that time, teachers could let the students help grade papers or be able to class if something happened. And I did that. And even get the average, figure up the average, and fill in some of the report cards, But that's it. So I heard they don't do that. They don't let them do that anymore. Right. But I mean, it would be accurate. You had to do it right. If not, she wouldn't ask you to.
So can you tell us about your neighborhood?
Well, the neighborhood is right there on Elmwood Street. You pass it. Did y'all come up Elmwood? You pass by where I was born. The house isn't there anymore. It would have been 505 Elmwood Street. The lot is there. We still have that lot there. We had good neighbors. My mother, if my mother went someplace she would holler out the window and say, tell Miss Willie Moore, the neighbor next door, I'm going to have to go to the store, the funeral or something. And we would be there, and she said, and you know what to do. You watch over there. The lady didn't even have to come out her house. We know not to do this. She would have the window up, and she never, and my mother would come back, and she said, did you have any problems? She said, no problem. She said, well, you know what to do. If she had some problems, she didn't have to wait till my mama got there. She could have done what she was going to do then. But all the neighbors, if one was sick, we slept on a lot of people's floors. On the floor for a while, until if somebody was sick in the neighborhood somewhere around, they came and they got up. And we had to get up because they weren't going to leave us stay at home. And I'd be, just walk and sleep. We lay on the floor, but they didn't sleep. Now if somebody real sick or somebody died or something, you hear on the telephone and they're about the end of it. But they went and they worked and they cleaned and they did for people. And that's the way we was taught to do.
Was most of your neighborhoods black?
Oh, down in the next block, it was white. We lived in 400 block next. It's blacks live there now. And there was some white boys, the Stewart boys. Y'all probably heard of them? They were good ball players. They used to come up that road because the Moors had some boys that of the age that played football. And it was rocks then, it wasn't paved. And she would be so worried, she said, y'all better stop playing with those boys. Y'all gonna hurt those boys. They might get hurt and they gonna put you in the rescue or do something. And they said, and don't be, you might hurt them. And they said, those boys are rough too. And they come up here. They came up in the next park and played. When those Stewart boys went to school, they played football. And they were some of the best players from Macomb High. You couldn't go to Macomb then. We was up on Crosstown because I remember when the school was built, I passed by there. I never had the wildest dream that it would be open. But those boys came up there, and I know one thing, and they played out in the road, and they was nice boys. The mother must not have cared because they would be playing football, and like I said, we heard about Bill and seemed like Buck, whatever they call them. Those boys could play ball for Macomb High School here.
Mm-hmm. So was there a lot of the different races playing together in your neighborhood?
Those boys was come up there. Well, my mom and them didn't have different people. You heard of Mr. Bill Neville? You know him, whoever. He was a wealthy man. They was wealthy, the Nevilles. They lived on 3rd Street. Y'all heard of Mr. Bubba White? No. Y'all don't know anybody. Hello, you real sick now? Well, anyway, my mother worked for Mr. Bill, and she would go back and instead of her staying and work later, she started working for them. Billy would come up and stay at our house. But he was so upset that we had outside toilets, and he didn't know anything about it. Trix, why do y'all have outside toilets?
Victoria, you can go. Just reclean it so it's facing towards her mouth.
He would be upset because at the time, the people didn't have inside toilets. They had outside toilets. And Billy would come and stay, and he had to go to the toilet. Trix, why do y'all have this? He wasn't used to that because they had inside toilets at that time, but people got them through the years. Warrant Office. Anybody heard of Warrant Office? They came. They come up there, and he went to Ole Miss. He was a good football player. I think he went in the Hall of Fame, Warrant Office. But anyway, they came, and they were just like they was at their house. And I would go down there with my mother at night. And one day, a friend and I, we went down, she's deceased now, and they lived up on 3rd Street, not too far from downtown. And I told my mother, I said, I want some money to buy something. And she said, I don't have any money now. And we didn't know Billy, the little boy, went upstairs and brought me back $1. I said, Billy, I can't take your money. He said, but Trick said she didn't have any money. Here's you $1. I said, I can't take your money. You go put your $1 right back. That was a lot of money then, though. But I had good neighbors. We could come home and didn't have to. The neighborhood was so good. We called Mont Blanche, and she lived a few doors up, and she the one who had doctors on us. She the one to tell you when your ears could get pierced. She look at the moon. She had so much Indian in her, and if we had a stomach, if something, my grandmama and them would say, go up there to Blanche. Blanche will give you something, and whatever she gave us, we didn't go to a doctor, and we could stop there and eat anywhere up and down now, and not worry about it, going back to school. And you didn't have to worry about what you're going to eat because you're going to have greens and bread. They're going to keep plenty of bread, greens, biscuit, coffee. You could smell coffee perking all up and down the street. So you didn't have to worry about what you're going to eat. If it wasn't peas, it was beans. But they have salt pork, and everybody had. They make biscuits, and just a good child life.
Was any of the Jim Crow laws around?
All of them were. And that's what helped trigger it. They have a bus. Think of Miss Rosa Parks.